Hey everyone, and welcome back to Master Your Life Beyond the Founder podcast. I am your host, Luke Beestall, and I want to put this out there, a local guest in the studio with us today. I mean, obviously, you guys know I'm born and bred the Nottinghamshire area, and we also have Hannah, who is from the Nottinghamshire area. And today, we're going to delve deep into a story. Now, she's done, I'm going to be honest, she's done us a massive favour, really, because we did have a guest sort of couldn't make it, and she's come in and she's going to share her story. And we were just chatting beforehand, and she sort of said that this opportunity has come at a really great time for her to share her story in a way that probably most people may not know. And coming from a corporate background, this is a real good space for her to open up and, I guess, share truly that authentic side. So she's a marketing strategist and consultant. She's got a fantastic business, and she's here today to share her story from the ground up, where it all began, where it is today, and ultimately what she's had to go through in the process to be where she is. So, Hannah, it's an absolute pleasure to have you. Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's amazing to be here.
I know, and we're talking, it's like 30 degrees. You know, we've got fans on, and here we are, like making that commitment to put this story out into the world.
Absolutely.
So, and I appreciate your time. So for anyone sort of coming into this episode right at the beginning, tell us a little bit about what it is that you do. Because obviously marketing strategist and consultant, I'm not saying it's a common term, but a lot of people obviously do these sort of things. I just wondered what it is that you do differently, and what it is you offer.
Yeah, of course. So at Number 34 Consultancy, I offer the question of, is it time to think differently about your marketing? So for lots of people, marketing might mean to them a few social media posts or going out to a few events or a mix of various different things. But for me, marketing isn't about making lots of noise and being out there all the time. It's saying the right things to the right people at the right time. And that, for me, is what marketing strategy is about. It's about looking at what they're doing or what they're not doing, and looking at the growth plans and where they want to be as a business, and going, actually, this is what you can do to get there. And this is realistic, and it's not going to take you forever. You're not going to have to spend hundreds of thousands of pounds. Actually, let's do something that's right for you and your business.
Oh, this is really good. And do you know, the way you sort of shared that there, though, Hannah, was actually quite simple in a way, not sort of overwhelming. I mean, in today's world, more than ever with technology and advancement with AI and stuff like that, how important do you feel it is for somebody who's setting up a business to look into marketing or have marketing on this side?
Oh, hugely. I think it can be so important, especially at the beginning. Because people don't know you. They don't know what you do. They don't know what services you're offering. So to be able to use the right marketing in the right way to get that message out there, and that won't look the same for every business. It will look completely different. And being able to do that is so important, especially early on, because that's how you build those connections, you build those relationships, build that traction to start getting those sales effectively.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's good for you to sort of share that with people, because obviously our audience are generally people that are thinking or not really sure where to start, and they obviously, everybody knows now when they're sort of looking at starting a business that, right, where what do I share? Like, what do I post? You know, what's the first thing I should do? So for you in what you do, what's the sort of, I don't want to say effective, but I guess effective, but efficient way when it comes to marketing that you've seen with your clients and what you've done over the years to work, I guess, the best, really?
I think it's looking at the different type of businesses. So when I was looking at how I started this, it was absolutely looking at who I wanted to target. So who's my ideal client? Who's my ideal customer? And once you know that, then you can work out, right, where are they? What are they doing? And what are they looking at? And what are their problems that I'm solving? And looking at that piece, because there's no point, for example, I'm a marketing consultancy. There is no point in me, being on TikTok. It's probably not going to happen. I'm not going to be doing a dance there and doing that, because that's not where my audience are. But they are on LinkedIn. So that's probably where I'm going to focus my time. And it's making those choices and being effective with that time early on, and also spending that time, it doesn't have to be a huge amount of time. It could be an hour a week, a couple of hours a week, or it could be a block of time in a month where you look at your marketing activity and go, right, I've scheduled it, I've done it, I know what I'm doing, I've got a strategy, so they all work within a similar messaging and framework, and I've got my values there, and people know what I'm going to be doing, and then that's done. So the planned pieces are done, and then you can do reactive bits on top. When you've been to a marketing event, you've been to a networking event, you've done something, they can just sort of slide in, and it takes that pressure off straight away. And that would be, yeah, I definitely start that right from the start. Get those foundations in place.
Yeah, I think something that really struck me there, which I liked what you shared, Hannah, was the fact of it being also some reactive and spontaneous posting.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
obviously we do live in a world, right, and a society where everything could be quite linear, yeah, like very
Yeah.
structured. Like these are the stages of your life that you go through. That this happens, X happens, Y happens. When we know life can throw anything at us. The same
Yeah.
thing with business. If you look at it in a way with business, right, it's the same thing. Like you could go, okay, so I know I'm in Q1, I'm in Q2, or whatever, and you look at it and go, I'm going to post this, post that. You've got your content strategy, 30
Yeah.
days, whatever. But then actually, it's nice to be able to add a bit of extra spice in there or something that's off the cuff. Like say you go to an
Absolutely.
event and you go, I want to share in the moment.
Absolutely. That's so important. And also making that time, especially if you are using social platforms. And I know I keep mentioning them. That's absolutely not the only thing that people should be using as part of their business, their marketing strategy. But making time to connect and making time to comment and interact with people on there as well is so important. And it doesn't have to be a lot of time. It could be 10 minutes at the start or the end of the day, just to like, post, comment, share, all of those types of things will just build that your audience, build that connections, build those collaborations, opportunities. And so you can see what those reactive things are in the market. Actually, is something happening that's just happened and it's so relevant to your business, then you should be on it and posting about it.
No, this is really good. And obviously, you've spoken about finding your target market, working within your
Yeah.
niche. If someone was sort of going, I've heard this a lot, find your market, but I'm not really
Yeah.
sure. I'm a bit sort of, I don't know whether I do want the men or the females or the CEOs or the blue collar, the white. I'm not really sure where my business sits, or I've just
Yeah.
got this idea, but I also want to share. I feel like I need to get more into the social media. What would you sort of suggest as sort of a best place to at least start moving forwards?
I would start with what you want your key message to be. So if I know that it's a overused term, but that elevator pitch, what are you saying and what is your business? Start with that. See what happens after in that 6-month period, right? Who are your clients? Who are you actually having those conversations with? Who are you working with in that period? And then reassess and go, oh, okay, so that's my niche. And it might not be that's the people that you originally thought you wanted to target. So for example, my background is I've got a lot of experience and time that I've spent in professional services. So I thought when I started my business that I would be working with a lot law firms and accountancy firms, those regulated business, highly regulated businesses. But actually, it's been a real mix. And that's been really refreshing and it's been really nice. That absolutely is still part of my target audience. But I've also got some other small businesses and really creative businesses in there as well. So I think niching is very important, but at the same time, if you get out there, get your message out and then reassess regularly, because actually there might be another opportunity and you don't want to miss that.
Yeah, so again, what I've sort of taken from this, which is brilliant, by the way, and just to sort of reiterate to the guys listening, is that yes, niche is important, but not niching completely with everything that you do. You've obviously shown a bit of niche and a bit of also, diversity, a little bit more multifaceted in a way that you've got clients that allow you to be, I guess, in a way with what you do is quite creative. You've got to
Yeah.
keep yourself sharp. You've got to keep sharpening those tools because I guess, if you're completely niching with everything, it's sort of like I'm not saying automation, but it's more just repetitiveness of the same. Whereas obviously for you, I guess you want to be challenged, especially as a business owner.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I love the creativity side of things. So 34 actually comes from 3 means creativity in numerology, and
Yes,
4 means
yes.
balance and stability. So that's for me what I wanted when I started my business. I love the creative side of things. And I also love looking at different industries, even if it is a law firm, for example. Actually, what's happening in the fashion industry? What's happening there? And it might not be that it's absolutely, oh, we'll take it verbatim across. Absolutely not. It just might be an idea, or might just spark something that you go, that could work. And why not? Why don't we try it?
Yeah, I think that's good as well. Is just giving it a go and seeing what happens. The
Yeah,
feedback loop of trying something,
100%.
and that's the beauty of obviously you having your business. It's got meaning to you on that. You know, the 3, the 4. I think
Yeah.
that's really good. I mean, how long have you been running the 3-4 consultancy now?
Nearly 2 years. So
Oh
just
wow.
under 2 years. Yeah. So, and that has absolutely flown by. It's gone so quickly.
Okay, so speed has gone by. Life's
Yeah.
crazy. Just from the
Yes.
2 years, if we was to encapsulate sort of a moment or an experience or a learning from the 2 years in business, what have you learned the most being a business owner?
That you can't do everything and you can't be everything. I came from obviously being an employee in large businesses for 20 plus years. And then you start on your own, which has always been a niggle. It's always been something I wanted to do. And then suddenly you go, okay, so right now I'm IT and finance and marketing and business development and all of those, amazing teams that you've worked with over the years. And you go, I don't actually know how to file a tax return, and I don't actually know how to I was always given a laptop and it worked, and now I've just got one out of the box and I've got to set it all up myself. So I think realizing that you don't have to be brilliant at everything, and actually, there are people, who can do it so much quicker and just take that stress away. Would be a huge learning for me. I think I started working with an accountant early on, and that was brilliant because you get that advisory piece, and you're never going to understand all the tax laws, unless that's your business. But you're never going to do that. So actually having someone go, oh, do you know you can do this? Or actually, if you do that, then this happens. That's so important. And having someone, just honestly, I took my laptop to someone to help because I'd spent hours and hours trying to set it up. And he was just in 5 minutes, he'd done it. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. You do
Wow.
sometimes just need to go, I don't need to be able to do all of this myself. There are brilliant people who can help.
So the biggest thing you've sort of gained then, what I mean, that's so gold sharing that is actually not being afraid to ask for help.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
that's the other thing, putting yourself in a bit of a vulnerability, vulnerable position where you're going, look,
Yeah,
okay, I'm accepting that I've got 10 hats that I could wear if I wanted to, but
yeah,
I'm not. I'm choosing to, hire people or delegate or ask for help. I mean, how does that make you feel though? Because obviously as a business owner, you want the full autonomy. You want to feel
yeah,
like you've got it. I've got this. I can make this work. How did it make you
yeah.
feel to sort of drop that to then decide to have help? Was that hard to do? Was it easy? Were you open to it?
Oh, absolutely open to it. Because I think I've come from, you know, as I say, bigger corporate environments, and you're your expert in your area. You're not necessarily the expert in every single area of the business. So I think if I came with that mindset of actually, I know this will be far more efficient and it will mean that I can focus on my business and the core bits that I can make a difference to, and the growing it and the marketing and the BD and getting the clients in. If I know that actually I'm not staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning worrying about my VAT return, if I'm not, you know, battling with teams for some reason that it won't work. I think understanding where your time is spent best and seeing it in that way rather than seeing it as a negative that you're asking for help is really important.
So obviously you've got quite a strong mindset. Okay, so obviously you've come from the corporate world, very fast
Yeah.
paced, probably a lot of pressure. There's a lot of experience and wisdom coming here from what you're sharing. When did you sort of find within yourself that you wanted to do your own thing? because people have it at all different stages, don't they, in their life? I just wondered
Yeah.
when did that come up for you?
So for me, I've got two children who are 10 and 7 now. So we're obviously nearly 2 years younger at the time. And my little girl had started school, and she said to me, "Will you be in the playground tomorrow to pick me up?" And I said no, because I wouldn't. She was at kids club. I worked 5 days a week. I wasn't going to be there at school pickup time, and she got upset. I then got upset, and I thought, hang on a minute, why aren't I there? You know, I can. I thought I've always had that niggle. I've always wanted to do it. So how can I build something where I am more present for my children, where I can be there and see them, and be it. I mean, I don't know if you've had the same, if or that your listeners who are parents of the million sports days that have happened over the last 2 weeks. To be able to be there for all of those things that happen in primary school, and I appreciate in secondary it will become much quieter. But at the moment, I thought I just want to make that time and see if I can let's see if I can do both. Let's see if I can find that balance for them.
Oh, that's quite a touching thing to say. Obviously, your kids. I mean, I've got two daughters as well, so I mean they're not that old yet. They're only 2 and basically newborn, so I'm not at that.
Oh,
I'm not at that sports day
trickens.
area yet. But I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
Ready.
Yeah. But I think that and I'm sure a lot of people will resonate with this who's listening. Obviously, you've listened to a few of the other guests, and they talk
Mm.
quite about it with the kids and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Being, you want to be present, you want to be there when they grow up.
yeah.
So you've made two sports days now. Then is that right? Two
I
sports
have
days.
this. Yeah, this week, yesterday and Monday. Yeah, two.
So what did you do? What was your race?
Oh, well, it was egg and spoon for parents.
Oh, was it?
Egg and spoon race. It was running the year before, but someone tore their Achilles, so uh,
No way.
they made it. Yeah, they made it egg and spoon this year.
Oh wow! How did you get on?
I have to say, I didn't do it because I had meetings to go to, and I didn't want to turn up in the heat in
Oh
that
no!
being that
Excuse.
person. I know,
But you was there though.
absolutely.
You
I
was
was
there.
there.
Oh,
I was
good.
there.
You was there, and your
I was
daughter
there.
saw you
Yeah,
there, and obviously,
she
yeah,
did.
that's good.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
brilliant. So
yeah,
so just by making that big decision, we'll go on to that how that sort
yeah,
of unfolded. But
yeah.
what's changed at home with the kids then, since you've actually been more present? Has anything sort of pivotal happened, or?
Oh, definitely. They are. I think we are all in a much better place now, I have to say. I think everyone's much more settled. My son will be going into year 6, so I'm conscious, that's a really big year for him. And I think it's made a huge difference. I'm not that stressed mum who was snapping at them all the time, who was going, oh my God, I've got to think of what's for dinner again, or that's still there. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I'm I'm in a much better place, which I think has helped them in many ways.
Yeah, so obviously you're more of a unit. You've come together.
Yeah,
Obviously, has your daughter or your son said anything to you that sort of gave you that fulfillment of the action that you've taken? Like, I don't know, maybe it could be something that they've said, because kids see everything, don't they?
they
You know,
do. Oh,
monkey see, monkey
massively.
do. Obviously, they
Yeah.
absorb like a sponge. So I'm just wondering if there's been a moment where it's sort of like caught you, but because they tell you how it is, don't they?
Oh, they do. Absolutely. Well, yeah, in a positive way, absolutely. They can now have friends over on a Friday or go to a friend's after school, because I couldn't do that before. And that has made a huge difference over the last couple of years, because they've been able to have that bit more of that friends. Like, I remember that growing up, going going to a friend's house after school and having a friend over after school, and I hated that. I couldn't do that for them. So that's been lovely. But then, as I say, I don't always get it right. So yesterday it was sports day in the morning. I then went to a networking event straight after, and then came back, was making tea, and was on my emails, catching up with things after being out of the office all day. And my daughter came up to me and went, I really want you to play with me. And I was like, can I just do this? Because I just need to get this, because I'm a service business. I was like, I just need to get this over to a client. And I'm working lots now so that we can have some more time in the summer holidays. And she went, yeah, I just really want you to play with me now. I was like, right, okay. And I was like, right, okay, fine. Let me just send this one bit and then I'll come and play with you and then I'll log in later. But to have that flexibility is brilliant.
I think that moment there, though, Hannah, by the way, I applaud you really that you stopped the work and actually played with your daughter, because there's a lot of this, isn't there? You know, I mean, just with parents as the kids get older and then they go through phases, right? They're not young forever, sort of thing. We're not young
No,
forever, and they go through phases where they probably won't ask you to play anymore, you know, and it's
exactly.
missing
Yeah,
out on those things, isn't it? And it's just
yeah,
I hear this time like when you just spoke about networking. I've been to networking events, and you know, if you ask them what their one regret was, they'd go, oh, you know, answering emails on a holiday with my family, you know, or
yeah,
never having a barrier or a boundary to just be present.
yeah,
It's just constantly on and just always working.
yeah. And that's so easy to do, especially as a business owner, because it's all on you and you're doing it all. And I don't switch off. You know, I'm not going to pretend that I wasn't playing with her thinking, right, I need to do that. I need to send that. I
Yeah,
need to,
yeah, yeah.
but, but I was still there. But it's so, and having those boundaries as, as a business owner is so much harder almost.
So, what do you find really hard about it, though, in your opinion?
Um, because I suppose because I'm a service industry, service business. It's if a client, I've got one client who is brilliant, but he works half the time in the UK, half the time in Australia. So I find it so hard not to think, okay, right, if I log in at 6 in the morning, I can reply to him while he's awake. And
Okay.
just sort of but so I suppose that always on culture is hard to have boundaries with, I think.
Yeah, it definitely is. So, just on that note, then, with boundaries, what do you commit to as a business owner to implement boundaries? What sort of have you done to help with that?
I Well, obviously school pickup time is I do that, and I'm not saying I do it every day. I don't, I drop off. They don't go to breakfast club anymore, but I do pick them up a couple of times a week. And I don't obviously work in that period. Sometimes I'll go to the park after school. If someone rings me, of course I'll answer it. But I try not to be on my emails because that's one of the things the kids asked me for. So I want to be able to do that for them. Um, but I am absolutely the person who will work in the evenings, and I love a Sunday evening catch up, get ready for the week ahead. It makes me feel good, being structured and prepared and ready. So I do that for me. I'm a big fan of a scheduled send email because I don't want to bombard people when I'm working because they're not necessarily working.
Yeah, but I think just a lot of business owners talk about the Sunday sort of setup, you know, the
Yeah,
Sunday
yeah,
sync, whatever you want to sort of associate with.
yeah,
But absolutely, I know what you mean. It's sort of checking in with your week, looking at what tasks, all those kind of things.
yeah,
But I think just how you've spoken there about, you know, you obviously fit your children's sort of life things in around your
yeah,
schedule, like you work evenings or you work early mornings.
yeah.
Obviously, you've got clients all over the place. What is it that if you was honest where you are now in your business and life, what is it something that you are, I guess, proactively working on to improve the sort of flow of what you do?
Oh, good question. I would say part of me would be a bit more organized. So I would say in work time, I am very organized. But sometimes with the school thing, so you wait till your daughters go to school and you've got multiple WhatsApp groups and multiple emails happening from school all the time going, oh, you need to bring in, a washing up liquid bottle, or they need to wear yellow. And it's just keeping on top of all of that. I try and put it all in my calendar now. So I'm like, right, okay, so you need that and you need that and you've got to go wearing this. Or all of those sorts of things. My son went to a sailing trip the other day, and I remembered all of his clothes and all of the different things that he needed, but I forgot a towel. And he went, Mum, I had to dry myself with a jumper. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. So it
Improvise.
does. Yeah, well done. I'm proud of you for improvising and drying with a jumper.
Oh God, it
But
must. It's so hard though, isn't it? But
it
the thing
is
is, the thing is, it's like obviously you're switching modes all the time. But I think just how
all
you're
the time.
implementing more into it's like organized chaos, isn't it? I guess in a bit
It
of a
is.
fashion.
Absolutely. And as you said, I know that it's not forever. And that in a
Yeah.
way that makes me feel really sad because I want it, I want to capture it and keep it. And, they're brilliant ages. And, proper personalities and you can have real chats with it. It's just wonderful. But, I know that as I can see it in my son's 10, he'll be 11 in November. And I can already see those changes happening. And he's, I want to go out with my mates and I want to do, and God, mum, really embarrassing, is there. And you're like, oh God, that's only going to get worse. And,
Yeah.
that amount of time that he wants to spend with me will become less and less. So I'm almost trying to hold on to it while I can, but know that that's happening. And actually, when that happens, when that then changes the dynamic of my business again, because I can put more time in and I won't be, they won't need me as much. They'll always need me, I hope. But that as that changes, my business can adapt and change with it too, which I think is a really nice opportunity.
Yeah, I guess it keeps things fresh. It's obviously you're adapting, you're moving along with the times. At least you're not sort of down one path and sticking in one path. It allows you
Yeah.
to sort of, again, be creative, right? So
Yeah.
it gives you that open door to sort of do that. With obviously your kids, obviously, you're a parent, you're a business
Yep.
owner. What's something that you want to give back to your children as a skill set or a characteristic or value with what you're doing?
Um, well, definitely, we always try, my husband and I try to get them to think about what the answer would be or solve a problem before they ask us. I mean, that's not to say don't ask in any way, but to trying to get them to problem solve and think creatively and those types of things. And I really hope that I'm showing them with building this business that actually you you can do it and hard work pays off in many ways. I'd also love them to back themselves and to know that they can do it. When I just before I started the business, I didn't necessarily back myself and believe that I could do it, and I felt like I needed something to fall back on. So I trained to be a nail technician. I've never really done it. I've never really used it, but it's there. It's one of those. I don't know why. I don't why I picked that. Why that happened, but I felt I needed it. So I would love them to know to just go for it and back themselves and think, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, I think that's a good sort of frame anyway. Like, what's the worst that could happen? But what I sort of taken
Yeah,
away from there, Hannah, which is really great as well, and I know there's a lot of parents that listen to this show as well. Especially because they're in the mind of leaving what they're doing to try and set
yeah,
something up, is that self belief, but also
yeah,
that autonomy and independence of taking ownership of something that can I do this, and if not, like I said, there's nothing wrong with asking for help, but rather than it
no,
being done for you, it could be either done with you or you can do it yourself, sort of thing.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and it. There's it's they're only young, so I don't expect them to know,
No, no.
to come up with the answers. But rather than just I can't do it, we try and get them to go. You can't do it yet.
Mm.
It's that little mindset shift of it's not that you don't know your 12 times table, you just don't know it yet. It's yeah, it's and
Definitely.
hopefully they'll carry that with them.
Yeah, I like that, and I think that's a good mindset thing. Yet the part of the end there, that's a really good way of looking at it because it allows them to still there's a possibility rather than like sort
Yeah,
of shutting it down.
yeah,
You said something, Hannah, which I want to go back to, where you said about that when you set up your business, you didn't believe that you could do
no,
it,
I
and then
didn't.
you sort of so you decide like, oh, I'll have my fingers in a few pies like I did a nail technician. So what made you push through? What got you to set it up? How did it all start to like come together?
I had a few conversations with people, and they were people that I knew or I'd worked with before who had either done it themselves or were either freelance or fractional or whatever that, or they'd set up their own agencies. And I had just some, and a huge thank you to them because they were so helpful at the beginning and said, what is it like? What do I need to know? What do I need to do? And a few of those actually then led to clients and opportunities for me, which was amazing. And once I'd got a couple of opportunities and a couple of clients, I was like, actually, I can do this and this can work. And I'm probably not a great nail technician. So let's just, stick to what I know rather than try and go off in a tangent and do something different.
Yeah, this is good. So obviously you got a bit of validation earlier on. Clients sort of
Yeah.
helped you out.
Yeah.
Just from those very early stages, if you can remember? I mean, I know it's 2 years ago, and things like I say,
Yeah.
things go quite quick. What plan did you have? What was sort of your focus? Did you set any goals? Did you just go with it to start off with and just see, yeah, like test it out? Like what was your sort of strategy? I guess.
Well, it was 6 months, see how it goes, see what happens. And there was a fallback, right? If it doesn't happen and it doesn't work in that 6 month period, then at 4, 5 months, right, let's start looking for a role. Let's, go, I tried. It didn't work. But it did, luckily, and I'm still here. Yeah, that was, and get out there, go and meet people and find, I love meeting people. It's brilliant. And, you learn so much from those conversations at networking events because you meet people at all different stages in their careers and all different businesses, business types. And it's not necessarily going in with a mindset of, am I going to work with you? Yes or no. It's more a mindset of what can I learn from you and what what conversations could we have? I've met some brilliant people and we're working on some collaborations with some of them. And naturally, I suppose you look at it and go, but they're a competitor, but they're not. Actually, there's plenty of work out there for everyone if you have that sort of mindset of, well, actually, let's join together and I do this bit and actually you do this and we could work together. Um, so I think that's been hugely helpful. And having that collaborative mindset when you're going out, probably pivoted and changed that 6 month strategy massively in that period. And I think it's important to be open to that as well, because it might not be what you thought of on day one.
Yeah, so obviously plans change, plans adapt, but I think just how you
Massively.
said there, yeah, which is good to share because everybody likes to sort of see the outcome before the process has even started,
Yeah.
right? We've got that
Yeah.
impatience today with everything, but you're sort of sharing that, hey, listen, put yourself out there, have these conversations. There is some great people out there that like you're in talks now with having collaboration. Do you know for you like mentally and like your
Yeah.
mindset, what was sort of the biggest shift when it from being employed to being self-employed and being your own business owner? What did you have to change in your mindset?
Oh, I think so. A great question. I think, as I say, it came from a corporate background. And I remember having a conversation with someone and she said, at about 6 months plus, you'll shed your corporate armor. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? And she was like, you don't realize it, that you've got it. You've got that, that sort of corporate mindset, corporate poise. I have to be on at this time. I have to, and actually it's the later you're on and the replying to emails late at night, that's good because it shows that you're committed and it shows that you do. And actually, she said it'll take a while for you to shift and go, who am I proving it to? It's just me. Actually, it doesn't matter if I'm not on first thing in the morning and checking emails as soon as I wake up and going to bed late at night and not, having worked for hours and hours. That shift doesn't happen overnight, and it didn't, and absolutely didn't at all. But it, yeah, I think that's certainly one of my biggest learnings and biggest mindset shifts is you don't have to always be on, and you can have other priorities, and that's okay. And actually, the only person you're trying to prove it to is yourself.
That is absolutely crazy that like when you're in that corporate space, and I've heard this by the way quite from a few guests about one guy especially, Nick Brand, his name is. You might listen to the
Mm.
episode now. He was in medicine, but he was in corporate, and he felt the need to be the first one in and the last one out.
Yep. Yeah. absolutely. And
But it didn't need to be.
that's actually, no, it didn't need to be. But also that's how I met my husband, because he was also the first one in every morning. So we, so, it has its perks.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, that mindset is absolutely there. That burnout as a badge of honor was hugely there, I think.
No, and yes, it does have its perks because you've walked away with a husband. There you go.
I have.
But I think just there alone, like that badge of honor, like the burnout, the sort of feeling that you have to work hard and stuff like that. And obviously for
Yeah.
you, who, I mean, if you was to think about it now upon hindsight and reflection, like if you ask this question, who was you doing it all for?
Oh, absolutely. For recognition, for
Pay rise.
wanting that pay rise,
Yeah.
promotion,
Yeah.
job title. Absolutely. It was all for that. And I miss, I don't, it's one of those things you don't necessarily like to reflect on because it wasn't just after, just having children, but even before that, I remember missing meals with friends or turning up just as they were having desserts because I had been in the office. There was so much that I probably didn't do or said no to, or went, oh no, I can't do that because I've got to do this, or I've got to. And actually, the only person I was doing it for was, well, sort of for me in that, I wanted that recognition and I wanted that growth, but actually, what was the end goal? What was the actual result of that?
Yeah, and I really respect that honesty in that, because I think a lot of people probably even like now listening, tuning will relate to it as well, Hannah. The fact of like, oh, I'm doing it for recognition, I'm doing it because I want a pay rise. Obviously, it
Mm.
is my career. I'm very ambitious. I've got this, but then
Yeah,
as you sort of go on and go on and go on, you look at it and think, actually, I'm really tired. I'm really burnt out. I'm missing a lot of social occasions with people that I really enjoy spending time with. And then obviously
yeah,
family comes into the picture, and I guess then things really do start to sort of hit you,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I missed my daughter's nursery graduation. I missed so many bits that I can't go back now. I remember Jacob was in nursery full time when I first started work, and I remember him sort of in the lounge, just getting up one day, pulling himself up, and walking across with his stroller. And I thought, it was amazing. It was the first time I'd seen him walk, but deep down I thought that's not his first steps, because he knows what he's doing, and it was quite, and when you're like, I wasn't there, and that's hard. But at the same time, it was there was at that time, there wasn't another option. It was the right thing to do at that time to, put him in nursery. But I can't, if you could go back, then I absolutely would have done this years ago.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously good, but hey, you're here now, and you've not got
Exactly.
complete regret in some way. But
No.
what have you found the hardest part being a business owner?
Um, Understanding and getting used to the ebbs and flows, because there are some months that will be great and there are some that won't be as great. And when you're employed, you have the same salary every month, and that is consistent. And, you hope, as I say, that it grows over time. Um, as a business owner, it's completely different. And you are impacted by fluctuations in the market, by, anything can just knock what you thought was going to happen. It might not happen. And I think, yeah, that is definitely my big, I'm still getting used to that. I don't think I possibly ever will, in that sense of, having that. And when I've spoken to other business owners, they've said that, when they're 5 years down the line, they're like, oh God, no, it's still the bit that keeps me up at night. With those, and you get better at it, and that you've got the, things in place to manage it. But at the same time, it is that roller coaster.
Well, I'm 11 years in, and I can tell you that it doesn't go away.
Okay, great.
So just to be real, and sort of anybody, yeah. I mean, the ebbs and flows. I mean, I tend to have a pattern of 2 good months, 2 bad months, 2 good months, two
Yeah.
bad months. I mean, I don't say bad as in awful. I just mean
Yeah.
you've got to look at your outgoings to balance it out. Obviously, have months that are
Yeah.
more sort of money heavy than others due to maybe where payments fall, car stuff,
Yeah.
house stuff, whatever. But yeah, I think that is really challenging. What have you had to work on, like with yourself to sort of manage that? Because that's quite an emotional state of being you can be, and that can cause you to quit or give up. So
Yeah.
what work have you had to do to sort of keep pushing on?
Um, I think I've had to teach myself far more about the finance side of things. And, I had an understanding, but there's so many complexities around, that sort of taxes and when all those bills are due and all those and having I've yeah, for me, I get, I suppose, reassurance from understanding that process and what's happening more, and almost never stopping your marketing and BD activity because you need that pipeline. You need to keep that piece going. And some will take longer than others to convert. Some may take 6, 12 months to convert, but you've still got to keep that going and have those conversations, and don't, just because you're having a good month, don't turn that off. Don't stop. You've got to keep that consistency going. And that's definitely been a learning from my side.
I really like that because, and I appreciate you sharing it so openly, because I think when things are good, you can sort of sit back, can't you, a little bit and be like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm all right this month. I'm looking at, you're looking at your project for the month and
Yeah.
or the quarter. And then you sort of then, oh my gosh, I hit a bad month. You can get into a reactive state. But you're
Yep.
obviously saying here, look, no matter what sort of scenario you're in, you've got to keep moving it, because it could be, like you say, 6 months before they decide to say, hey, Hannah, can I request your services or what it is you
Yeah.
offer? It could be 12 months. It could be 1 month.
Exactly. And knowing that, and having that consistency is so important. And if you build that into your day to day, it's then not a huge onerous task. If you leave it and let it build up, suddenly you're like, oh God, how many emails have I got to write? And no, what am I got? It can become then overwhelming when you're already stressed about what Q2 looks like.
Yeah, we like to create the anxiety by going into the future or back into the past rather than just being in the present. Just for you though, with all this like business accolade, and obviously you've really started to build a really great business. What is it that you've taken away or gained from the business that you've sort of put into your personal life?
Ooh, definitely the flexibility that was never there before. I think I'm a far better friend now than I was before, and those connections and collaborations have been great. From a personal perspective, I went to a networking event in January. After Christmas, you're feeling a bit, and I thought, oh, I don't really want to be here. Put my name in the hat, and I won a month's free gym membership, which was amazing. And I got then into it, and I made time for myself, which I never did before. I started scheduling, I'm going to the gym, I'm going to do this, I'm going to start. And I started looking after myself better than I've ever done before. And I think that is definitely something that I've taken from the business, and having that flexibility and that approach, because I can go at lunchtime and it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So,
yeah.
so the flexibility, the freedom. Obviously,
Yeah.
you've adapted your calendar and your work and your
Yeah.
clients in and around what it is that you want to do to keep
Yeah.
filling your cup up. Because obviously, as a business
Yeah.
owner, you are the business, right? In a fashion.
Exactly.
What do you love to do then beyond work? Like, what is it that you like to do? I don't know, fun wise, creative wise, that sort of keeps you sharp in business.
Um, oh, great question. And because the kids are so young, I feel like I mean, does taxi driver count towards to all the million activities that they do? Is that a
Taking them around.
hobby?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so that obviously now, going to the gym and things. And one of my friends and I were chatting about this the other day. We used to um, drink a bottle of prosecco every Friday night. And we both do school pickup. We'd then literally we'd make something for dinner and then crack open a bottle of prosecco, the two of us, while the kids were running around playing. And we were like, actually, now we've swapped that for fitness, and we now sort of go, oh, have you read this book? And have you read that? Like, what has happened to us? It would change completely, but feel so much better for it.
Yeah. So is she a business owner as well, or?
No, she's not.
No,
No,
no. Well, so that's great that you're
no.
still obviously friends that way as well, and that you share some
Yeah,
common about fitness. Fitness is the well, anything to look after yourself, I think, is a smart
yeah,
investment. Anyway, I was
yeah,
just going to say, as you were talking, I was like, what is it that you do for yourself? To keep going. But
yeah,
you've obviously shared it there. Obviously, fitness is one of the things. In terms
yeah.
of like business, what actions or what things do you sort of do to keep learning and keep growing? Is there anything that you put in there to help with that?
Oh, definitely. I, love reading, seeing what's happening. I love, anything. You look at the sort of, I suppose, bigger brands and what they're doing, and understanding, okay, some of those bigger brands and tech, will be doing things that as small business owners would go, well, I'm never going to have the budget to do that. But actually, what's the creative element? What is it that they're doing that you could take away from that? And there's examples of that everywhere, within the sporting things that are, happening within, loads and loads of things. I think there's so many pieces that you can just keep learning and keep sort of seeing. For an example, at I read that at Wimbledon, obviously there are long-standing sponsors that have been there for years and years. The Rolexes, the Ralph Lauren, etc. of the world. But actually, Gucci decided to sponsor one of the tennis players and just get him to walk in on court with one of their bags, and that then went viral, and everyone's now buying that bag. And actually, they didn't sponsor it. They had nothing to do with Wimbledon. They just did it with a player instead, which was a much cheaper option. So I think there's so many little things that you can do and learn, and it's not necessarily about the big ideas and the big campaigns and those things. Sometimes it can be the simplest little thing that can make all the difference.
Yeah, that's really good to sort of see. But also, you said very early on in this episode about the marketing and starting a business that you don't have to invest tens of thousands of
No,
pounds to build a
no,
business for it to get it off the ground. So this is just a bit of an example what you just shared there. Well, I mean, I know
yeah.
Gucci's not cheap, but what I'm, that bag would have probably been a couple of grand if not more. But
Absolutely.
but the main thing is they're not probably investing as much as these main headline sponsors
Yeah.
for the event. So with your business now, what's your dream? What's your next move?
Oh, I want to grow. I do, I don't just see it being me. And I'd love that, in the future, to be able to bring that in. I'd love my husband to become part of the business in the future as well, because he's also in marketing. That is the aim longer term. So yeah, and if build an agency would be amazing.
Oh, brilliant! And what is it that is your main sort of value, or what would you like to give back to the world through them using your services?
Um, that hopefully that insight and experience and that understanding that a strategy isn't something daunting, and a marketing strategy isn't something that lives in a cupboard and is looked at never. It is something that grows and adapts, and something that everyone in the business should ideally understand and know. And that's not know the detail and know sort of every inch of it, but understand where the business is going and what role they play within that, and how they can support it. And so I think that's definitely a huge part of it. And I'd love people to understand that you can have both. You can, be a parent and be present, and you can work and build a successful business. And both of those things can work side by side. They don't need to compete with each other.
I love that. I know you're going to share that journey.
Yes.
Said it on the podcast, everybody. But it's one of those things, right? Like, maybe in order for that agency to be where you'd love it to be, or for people to probably be like-minded, then they're obviously going to look at your story first, right? They're going to probably see, well, where did Hannah
Yeah.
come from to create it, and do I want to be part of Hannah's vision, tribe,
Yeah.
that way?
I'd love that. I'd love that. And I think, I'd love to, as I say, build something with that flexibility at its heart. And because, actually, I appreciate I'm a parent, and that's where that flexibility and need comes from me. But that caring and that the responsibility, or that even that sort of need for flexibility, can come in all sorts of forms. It doesn't necessarily need to be that parental side. So absolutely, I would love to build something that really works for the person that works with me, and also the client. Obviously the clients are at the heart of it, but at the same time, I've found that everyone I've worked with has always been understanding, and they've never gone, oh, can't work with her because a couple of days a week she does a school run. That's never been a problem, and I always thought it would be, but and hid behind it or hid it away, but actually it's not.
Yeah, no, that's really good, and I think I'm taking away a lot from this, and I that's why I sort of asked you if you was going to share the journey, because I just think already what you've shared is really great, but it's now, I guess, your dream is that, and then it's sort of being able to sort of put the steps along the way for people to sort of witness, and you never know,
Yeah,
like you just said, it could be where you get a client 6 to 12 months, you might have your first hire or first franchise or whatever,
exactly.
in 6 to 12 months, because they've watched your journey for 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, that would be amazing. And I would love someone to come on board and join me and make this, yeah, more than just me.
Brilliant. Oh, I love that. Well, your husband's, he's, I hope he listens to this and he's sort of
Well, I
there
hope so.
going, maybe I'm going to step up to the plate. Let's go. But where you are right now, then, with obviously where you are in business and life, but if we specifically focus on your consultancy service,
Yeah.
what do you feel's missing, or slowing it down in order to have that growth that you're looking to achieve with the vision?
Um, I suppose actually, partly some of that will be because it is a service-led business and there is only me. Some of that will be capacity. There is only so much. There is a ceiling of where I can deliver and the amount I can deliver. Um, and I would like to think I'm pretty efficient at those types of things. But actually, there is an absolute a limit there. So, and that will then come with not necessarily employing straight away, but with those collaborations, with working with other freelancers. And I love doing that. As I said before, I'm not the expert, in it. I'm never going to say that I'm a graphic designer. I'm absolutely not. When you've worked with brilliant graphic designers, it is, an absolute world away from, the types of things that can be done on Canva. So it's working with the right people, pulling those people in, and really giving the best value then to clients.
No, obviously, like you've already said, your clients are the heart of the business, and
Yeah,
people listening here, you're creating opportunities for people, right? You're giving people that platform to start, maybe in their mind, building to becoming a self-employed business owner, and being a part of
yeah,
a bigger vision, which again, you're giving back by doing that.
yeah. Oh no, yeah, it's brilliant. There are definitely people I've worked with along the way or met along the way that you think, if when, not if, when this is bigger, I will be knocking on your door.
Oh, that's fantastic. You're building up that sort of contacts and stuff like that to build it
Yeah.
up. Well, look, Anna, we are unfortunately getting towards the end of the episode, which, these things do fly by when we're having great conversation.
Ew.
I know it's mad, isn't it? Not sweating just yet, but we're getting there. But I want to ask this question. I'd love to hear your perspective on it. What does mastering your life mean to you?
Oh, that is a great question. Having creativity and balance in there, and understanding. For me, it was about understanding what that balance meant for me, and what that, because that will look different for everybody, and I appreciate that what I do and the boundaries that I put in will be complete, work for me, and they do, but they might be quite different. They might even be different from my husband when he joins, the business. It might, his, what that looks like for him might be different, and that's fine. So, I think, yeah, it's about understanding what those drivers are for you, what your core values are, and one of mine absolutely is balance and family, and then working around what that is and building a business around it.
Yeah, obviously, it's very clear from what you shared today. Thank you for that. That, the creativity and the balance side, the three, the four, in the
Yeah.
consultancy, you're basically using your business as a vehicle to create the life that you've always wanted to create.
Yep.
Which
Exactly.
which is I think how most people should look at that. But obviously, people sort of not do it before it's too late, but they sort of delay, and that's me
Yeah.
talking, I guess, indirectly to our audience that are listening. That go for it, give it a go. You did it when you didn't believe in
Yes.
yourself, and it still worked
Yeah.
out.
It did. It did. Absolutely. Back yourself. It's, I mean, what's the worst that could happen?
Absolutely. And if there's anything else to extend from that or expand on, what message would you love to give to our audience listening in?
If you're starting, or even if you're not starting, I think just understand who your audience are, what they want, and don't necessarily rule out other audiences that you might not have considered. And yeah, marketing isn't as scary as you might think it is.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Well, if anyone's sort of listening or watching this back and would love to start a conversation or maybe just follow your work, where's the best
Yeah.
place for them to do that, Hannah?
Well, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm Hannah Dimech on there, or I've got a website which is number34consultancy.co.uk.
Fantastic. Well, we'll make sure those links are clickable in the show notes,
Thank
so it's very
you.
easy for people to sort of find you. But look, last thing from myself on this very, very hot day in the studio.
Yeah.
It's been great having this conversation, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to chat with us.
Thank you. No, it's been brilliant. Thank you very much.